This is the first time I've got an opportunity to be part of a TEDx program, which was actually on my bucket list. I have been going around talking to students in different universities, in different platforms, in different think tanks. But this is the first time I'm talking to students at a school level. So I have to be very careful in what I say. So basically, I'm a journalist and I have been doing reporting on defense and security and foreign policy and space diplomacy, as we call it in my jargon. And it's a real tough job. And for this, I made sure that I do not do anything which my parents were wanting me to do. That was to either become a teacher or to practice law. I decided that I have to do something which nobody was doing despite holding so many degrees. So I come from Delhi Public School, Mathura Road. That's my school. And I remember there used to be a teacher in my school. And because I had other siblings in the same school, they would always come and tell me, oh, HUMA, you don't know how to speak English. You don't know how to write English. And that's something, that was something which got stuck in my brain. And I always used to feel very inferior to other students around me. But then a lot of my classmates made it sure that I don't fall into a trap where I don't talk in English or don't write proper English. And somehow later in life, in my life's journey, which I always tell people on a hindsight also, I don't like to be compared with other people. And I made sure that whatever I do in life, then on, I made sure that I do things the way I want to do things. And when my parents made sure that I'm, busy collecting degrees, whether it's in education, whether it's in law, whether it's whatever they wanted me to study, I went and did all that because I come from an educational background. My mother was a state awardee in education and my father was a lawyer in the Supreme Court. And so they all had different dreams for me. And I said, no, that's not something that I would like to do. I would like to do something which makes me happy. So I thought journalism is something good. And I think it was in 92, 93 that I decided to go the journalism route and become a journalist. There were not many schools at the time which would teach journalism. So anyway, long story short, I went and applied for a job in one of the leading newspapers at the time. And the job that was given to me was defense reporting. And that was something which no woman was doing at the time when I was given. There were a lot of senior male journalists around me who were doing it. And so I thought, this is a challenge. Wow. Oh, okay. So I'm going to travel all over the countryside and I'll be walking around with soldiers and, like Air Force pilots and Navy ships and so on. So as a youngster, I was really excited. And it was an exciting journey from then on. But it was challenging as well because when I would go on any assignment, nobody would talk to me because they said, oh, you're a girl. Why do you want to do defense reporting? In those days, we were known as war correspondents. So it was quite funny because I was the first woman in the country to do a course which was known as War Correspondent Course organized by the Ministry of Defense. So I was perhaps the first woman to do that. And so thereon my journey became more exciting because whenever I would go into South Block, that's where all the chiefs would sit, the ministers would sit, the PROs, as we call them, public relations officers, who would talk about the services and what all is going on. They just wouldn't talk to me. And I would look at them and I would say, why wouldn't you talk? And they would say, there is no need. You just sit and relax. Just go back to office. tell them that there was nothing to write about. And so every day I would go back to office, and my boss at the time would, scold me. He would say, "What are you doing? You go there, you come back and you're crying. Stop being a cry baby." And I was actually crying all the time. And I would cry because nobody really took me seriously. They thought that as a woman, I'm not fit to do defense reporting. Half the officers will not talk to me because they would look at me with suspicion that why is a woman entering the South Block to cover defense matters? What's going on? So yeah, it was a tough journey. And I still remember when I would go and sit in the South Block from 10:30 in the morning till 5:30 till everybody is going home. There wouldn't be any place where I could even go for a short break, because again there were not many women inside the building, at least not in the Ministry of Defense area. There were a couple of them, but I don't know where they were because we were not allowed to go beyond a certain point. And so then, like I said, this is not the way I'm going to do defense reporting. I better, start doing something else. And so one day I went crying to my editor at the time, and I said, "Sir, nobody is talking to me." He said, "Huma, you have to make them talk." So I said, "Oh, okay, how do I make them talk?" Little did I realize that, I was not doing what I was supposed to do. I mean, I was behaving more like a student than a reporter, because I had just come out from the university and I was trying to do reporting. And I said, "Oh, okay, let's do something." Then I started following what my male colleagues would do. I would just sit and walk around with them the whole day. And the whole day they would either be smoking or they would be just having cups of tea, standing outside some chief's office, some minister's, gate, and waiting. And I'm saying, "What are we doing?" And they would say, "We are waiting for a story." So I don't know what stories we were waiting for, but that was a journey. That's how it all started. And then I realized that it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a tough journey. And to maintain my, mental balance, I would sit and read more and more. And in those days, there was no Google, there was no Wikipedia. It was all sitting in the library and catching up and reading. And that's how my journey as a defense reporter started, where I was, meeting all the chiefs, Army chief, Air Force, Navy, and if the minister would like to talk to us. And then one day, it was my lucky day, I got a huge breaking news. And in the breaking news, I realized that, I wrote the story with the help of a lot of colleagues because it was a huge news. After filing the story, I went back home at 2 in the morning. And the next day, I'm looking at the newspaper and the story is nowhere. And I'm saying, what the hell? I mean, I sat up the whole night and the story is not around. And then I went back to office crying. I said, "Sir, I wrote the whole day, the whole night. I sat here and I wrote the story." He said, "What are you talking about? The story is very much there." And the story was the lead. It was a major lead and it was a huge breaking news, as we call it. And it created a lot of, noise in the circles where it was supposed to be, and it was regarding a major defense deal. And that's how, I got excited. I said, "Oh, okay, this is what you need and this is what I'll do." When you set out to do whatever you want to do, make sure, a lot of speakers before me have said the same thing, and I'll repeat it again to you because I do it to myself every day. Every day is a new day. And without passion, without purpose, there is no life. I mean, I decided that I will speak better English, write better English than my other siblings. And I feel I do that. I don't compare myself with anyone, and I don't like anyone comparing me with anyone else. And so I've created my own path, and you have to create your own path and not fall into a trap where you're looking at your classmates or your neighbors or their neighbors' children and say, "यार मुझे उसकी तरह बनना है." वो तो possible नहीं है. Everybody can't be, you know, like a carbon copy of BTS or carbon copy of Beatles. You cannot be that, but you can always create your own path and do or achieve whatever you have set out to do. And I would tell the students out here, please do try to read. WhatsApp is not your university. There are books out there to be read. There are a lot of newspapers that you should read. Try to increase your knowledge about subtopics which you are passionate about. I'm passionate about many things, and I make sure that I'm updated on all of that. Sometimes my editors wonder, how do I know what song is more popular compared to the other colleagues in my office who don't know what is the latest music? So I would urge all of you, at least the students out here who would probably become a journalist or a scientist or an engineer in life, do study, follow your dreams, and have a purpose in life. Thank you.